Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Foliage. In today's video we are going to be talking about another beautiful foliage plant. Now earlier this plant was called as the Philodendron Celom, but now it has been reclassified as Thaumatophyllum Bipinnatifidum. Now please don't go according to the name. The name is difficult to pronounce, but the care of this plant is very simple. Of course, you have to give the basic care requirements, only then this plant is going to thrive, and the basic care requirements are basically very basic. So let's talk a little bit in detail about the care of this plant, starting off with light. Now this plant can handle morning direct sunlight before 10 AM. Direct morning sunlight is absolutely okay. It will also do well in indirect bright light, dappled sunlight, filtered sunlight, or you can place it under large trees or large foliage plants, because in their natural habitat as well they tend to grow under the canopy of other large plants, so it is going to do quite well. Now this plant is a tropical plant, which means that it prefers warmer growing conditions or warmer months like summer and spring is their growing period. During winters this plant tends to not go into a complete dormancy, but it tends to slow down its growth, and during the summer it's their active growing period. Now talking about watering, whenever you see around 1 to 2 inches of the upper layer of soil is dry, go ahead and do a complete watering until the water starts passing through the drain hole. So ensure every pot or container that you're using to grow this plant should have a drain hole, because they prefer an even moisture in the soil but not soggy wet soil. There is a very thin line between slight moisture and soggy wet soil, so you have to ensure that the soil is not soggy wet, otherwise the plant is going to get a root rot. Now, because the soil prefers a slight amount of moisture, we have to make a soil mix according to that. Now, of course, I use my same soil mix, which is a mix of coco peat, garden soil, sand and perlite. The coco peat is going to maintain that slight amount of moisture. Garden soil is going to give the nutrients and minerals to the plant. Sand is going to make the soil mix well draining, and perlite is going to make the mix airy. So basically, they prefer a slightly moist soil which is loose, porous and well draining. You can go with any liquid based fertilizer. Fertilizers should be added only during the growing period, which is the summers. Please do not add fertilizers during the winter season, and also cut down on your watering during the winter season, because that's when the plant tends to slow down its growth. Now talking about propagation, it's pretty simple to propagate it. Right now this plant is in its juvenile form. You can see the leaves are very tiny. I will put up the image of how the mature leaf tends to look like. It grows tremendously huge. I'll put up the image on the screen. So this is how the leaf tends to look like. It doesn't even resemble to this juvenile form. It completely changes, and this is what is very common with philodendrons. They change the shape of the leaves as and when they start to mature. Now talking about pest issues, yes, this plant does get affected with mealybugs, spider mites, so always do a routine check. Once in 2 weeks, once in 3 weeks, turn the leaves and check. If you tend to see any kind of white flies or any kind of spider mites, go for any organic solution that you have been using. And always remember, treat the plant at the early stage of infestation. Do not wait for it. Once the plant gets into a complete infestation, then it's very difficult to recover the plant or to get rid of the bugs. So the earlier you take care of it, the much better it is. Now talking about, is this plant toxic? Yes, this plant is toxic, so ensure you're keeping this plant away from the reach of small children and pets, because if the leaves are ingested, it can be quite dangerous. So ensure that you're keeping this plant away from their reach at a safe distance. Now talking about temperature and humidity, as I said, these are tropical plants. They prefer warmer environment. Summer is the best time when they tend to put out a lot of growth. During winters they kind of slow down their growth. So they prefer a temperature between 15 degrees Celsius up to 30, 33, 34 degrees Celsius, because that's what the environment I belong to. The summer temperatures in my city reaches up to 34 degrees Celsius max. So they do quite well outdoor. If you are from a place wherein the temperatures are very high, let's say above 40 degrees Celsius, or the temperatures are very low, let's say below 10 degrees Celsius, then it's better to grow this plant indoor. Otherwise the plant might not do quite well outdoor because of those extreme temperatures. Now if you're growing it indoor, ensure you're keeping this plant closer to the window sill, where it gets a good amount of indirect bright light. Early morning, 10 AM, before 10 AM, if the direct sunlight falls on it, it's absolutely okay, but do not expose this plant to afternoon direct sunlight. So you keep it near the windowsill, but don't keep it under the air conditioning vent or the heater, because that will again damage the plant. Apart from that, it's a very easy to grow plant. As I said, do not go according to the name. The plant is very simple to grow. If you are a beginner who's looking out for a very unique looking plant with beautiful texture, design, shape of the leaves, then this is one of the plant you can add in your collection. As I said, this is a juvenile form. As and when it starts to grow, it's going to grow very huge. And as and when the plant starts to get root bound, always move to the next bigger pot. Do not immediately skip and jump to the larger pot. Always increase the pot size with probably 1 inch or 2 inch of what it was in it earlier pot. So guys, that's all about it. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep planting.